Now recognize Mrs. Saplan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to our witnesses. As we saw during the previous administration, carelessness and wrongful targeting when discussing global perspectives in higher education can have a chilling effect on academic freedom. At best, it limits the ability of faculty members from other countries to advance groundbreaking research in their fields, and at worst, it leads to unjust investigations and surveillance and prosecution of individuals. Callous and xenophobic rhetoric, particularly when it fails to distinguish between Chinese or other AAPI immigrants and the CCP, has also led to a rise in hate crimes and intolerance toward Asian Americans and Asian immigrants. And I've seen that in the district I represent in Northwest Oregon. We have a lot of international companies and a lot of people there from around the world, and I have seen it firsthand in the district I represent. So many college campuses today include students, faculty, and scholars who represent a diversity of backgrounds, perspectives, and life experiences. Portland State University, for example, in the district I represent, is a testament to the power of valuing global perspectives and representation in American colleges. PSU enrolls more than 2,000 international students from 63 countries, provides them with support, advising, and career opportunities. In Oregon, a couple of years ago, in the district I represent, international students brought almost $41 million, and that was 1,555 students in the first congressional district. University of Oregon, my alma mater, has close to 1,300. Oregon State has more than 2,800 international students. So at Portland State, again, they established a groundbreaking 3-year partnership with Seoul Welfare Foundation in South Korea. And they allowed PSU Masters of Social Work and PhD students to study Seoul's programs and delivery systems. And by forging those fruitful partnerships, this can benefit Oregonians and Americans. And by supporting the well-being and academic achievement of international students, Portland State is leading the way in demonstrating how higher education broadly can be a global enterprise. So, Mr. Yang, I have a two-part question. What is the benefit to students, colleges, and the country to incorporate those global perspectives into college campuses, and how can we continue to uplift the importance of international engagements in higher education?
No, thank you very much for that question. Certainly, the cultural exchanges are absolutely vital if we want to avoid thinking in a zero-sum manner about the United States and China relations in particular. One thing that troubles me also is we are asking university officials oftentimes, tasking them to be the watchdogs for espionage or intellectual property theft, where they don't have the proper tools to do it. And what happens in these situations is they overcorrect. So even student organizations encounter frustrations in hosting events because there is a concern that that might be seen as a propaganda tool for the Chinese government. So we need to continue to foster those exchanges. We need to continue to recognize that there is a common humanity in all of this, and that if we continue to have exchanges between Chinese students and American students, I think the American ideals will clearly win in the end, such that the Chinese students, as we have demonstrated throughout history, will want to come to the United States, learn from the United States, and stay in the United States and contribute to our economy.
Right, which I think is a reminder that we desperately need some good comprehensive immigration reform, because too often people come here and study, earn advanced degrees, and then end up having to go back and oftentimes work for competing companies. So I just want to put that word out there. It's not within this committee's jurisdiction, but it's a critical issue. So I also want to discuss the Biden administration's approach to enforcing the gift reporting requirements for colleges and universities under Section 117 of the Higher Education Act. The Department of Education under this administration has made it easier for universities to report gifts of more than $250,000 as required under the law. They've streamlined the reporting process through the Office of Federal Student Aid in conjunction with the department's Office of General Counsel. So, Mr. Yang, why is it important for universities to be transparent about potential undue foreign influence? And of course, we want to find the right balance, but be aware of and crack down on security concerns. And how can the Department of Education strike the right balance to promote oversight and reporting without increasing institutional burden?
Yeah, transparency is key, and I agree with all of my fellow panelists there. And part of that is simplicity, making sure that universities that are tasked with so many different responsibilities are able to understand those. Part of it is making sure that if they do make an honest mistake, that they will not be criminalized for that. And part of this is ensuring that part of this process is that they will be able to work actually with our government officials and foster some of these exchanges. I think if we do all of that right, then again, whether it is with respect to research, whether it is respect to education, cultural exchanges, I believe that our ideals will win.
Thank you. And Mr. Chairman, as I yield back, I want to note that as a representative of the Pacific Northwest, we saw firsthand the horrific effects of the Japanese internment. That's an awful part of this country's history. We need to tread very carefully in this area. I agree with my colleague, Congresswoman Jayapal, that the title of this hearing is unnecessarily inflammatory. And I yield back. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.